Live. Hello, everyone. I'm Jules with Sahara AI, and welcome to our Agent Takeover AMA series, where we explore how AI agents are quietly reshaping the way we work, trade, consume information, you name it. Today's conversation is all about how we can move from information overload to actionable intelligence and what AI's role in all of this is. In the markets right now, there's no real shortage of headlines, sentiment updates, price alerts, but the real challenge isn't getting the information. It's really figuring out what of that information actually matters to you. So to explore this, I'm joined by Jessie Lo, co-founder at SoSoValue. Together, we've recently launched the SoSoValue News Bot powered by Sahara AI, which is designed to filter through all of that noise and really surface updates that match your portfolio, your goals, your timing, you name it. So Jessie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And before we dive into the details of this AMA, Jessie, could you just start by telling us a little bit about SoSoValue's mission, how the news bot fits into your vision for smarter market intelligence, anything else you want to bring up?
Sure. I guess in one sentence, our general mission is to democratize the professional-graded, the Wall Street level of investment intelligence and insight, and to bring it to the public, right? Because crypto is about empowering everyone. It's about democratizing assets, and we think that when we first come into crypto, on a given day, we need like 20 different tabs open, right? I mean, you need to pay for professional graded reports for like hundreds and thousands of dollars per month. And we believe that's like the anti-crypto approach to crypto. So the first stop is we want to make information accessible and understandable and then actionable by average everyday investors. And then you're totally on point with the challenge that we face today is not the lack of information, but there is way too noisy. It's very difficult for us to sever what is truth and what is general chaos and noise and what is just scams, right? And to filter through that information, you either have to get through a really hefty paywall or you have to like spend a lot of time on it. And in order for crypto to go from what a 4 trillion market into 10x that or even 100x that in the foreseeable future, which we all hope for, the number one challenge we need to cut through is to cut through the noise. So that's exactly the whole goal and mission behind SoSoValue. And we first of all build a terminal that help us fill through the information gap. And then we also build products like the on-chain spot ETF, SoSoValue indexes, and then SoDex as well to help democratize that access and for everyone to better participate into crypto, allocate assets into crypto. But that's like down the road. The first step is to make crypto understandable.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've been in the crypto space myself since about 2015 now. Geez, it's a long time.
Wow.
And I know I'm aging myself now. And it's interesting to see now how like where we were back then, like I'm pre DeFi summer. So like DeFi summer hit, things were kind of crazy. And now that AI is in the picture, things are even shaping up kind of wilder than they were. And I've worked in like the MEV high frequency trading space for a while where, on-chain data is everything. And you're really always chasing those opportunities and everything is seen in these like milliseconds. And that's a completely different ballgame for most people, right? Most traders aren't in that game. Most of us, like myself, I wouldn't consider myself a high frequency trader, right? The real triggers for us are, news, what's going on in the news, what are the sentiment shifts, what key announcements are happening. That's the kind of alpha that we're looking for to spark that deeper investigation for us, right? And the problem is, and what you highlighted, is that signal, those really important signals at least are being buried. And in a world where there's a new token launch, honestly, like every second, right? It's, in my opinion, becoming impossible to keep up. And, every trader now, they have more charts, more headlines, more sentiment feeds that they, in a million years, could probably never process all by themselves. And with all that information, people still make really shitty trades. I'm wondering from your perspective, right? What's the real cost of this constant information barrage,
That's a really interesting perspective, and exactly precisely like you said, right? The market also have went through a few different cycles, and in different cycles is driven by different things. And I think what sets this bull market run aside from all the previous one is less about so in my head, the crypto market went through a few phases. In the very, very beginning, it's like a total wild west, right? You have those extreme idealists who wrote the right paper that we all admire and then aspire today. And you have the pure scammers. That's like the wild west phase in phase one, right? And then in that phase, information is definitely a bit of a chaotic, and you rely in like a very small circle of alphas, quote unquote. And then the second phase is more like we call it the casino phase, right? It's more organized gambling, and there's a certain rule in place, and there's like a certain way to get high quality information, but usually that comes with either a cost or it takes a while to find it, like who to follow on Twitter, like who can send a proof of time, who hasn't rugged in like the past recycle. So it's very costly in terms of time or money resources. And then as of right now, I think we're really stepping into an era where the crypto market and the traditional financial market is accelerating into merging into one, and crypto has really become what we believe with the future of crypto is like an essential part of financial building block. In order for that vision to happen, a few things need to happen, like on the technological level, millions of dollars and many sleepless nights on the dev team is building more functional blockchain, etc. But on the informational landscape, we haven't really seen that much of a step change. So that's where we play into the field, especially where we believe that this is a bull market is driven by Wall Street money, primarily, right? This starting with the whole ETF, BTC ETF, Ethereum, and now many more ETFs passing. Starting with that, starting the bull market engine, and now we have a lot more of the treasury plays and like a lot of tokenized stocks, etc. So the two worlds is merging at a much faster speed, and we need to bring the Wall Street graded information level to the public at a much faster speed. And that's not only in terms of what you mentioned, right? The accuracy and timeliness of information, but it's also prioritization for investors. And that comes into the third pieces, which is relevance, right? Information that's delivered at a totally irrelevant time and place is noise. So that's where AI comes in and is doing it a lot better than human agents, I would say, because prior to ChatGPT, actually, SoSoValue existed because the whole emergence of ChatGPT in the very first place. Because before that, we have 10 people from top-graded investment banking and research firms coming in to do research every single day and churning out reports on both the macro financial markets and the crypto markets. And we're having morning meetings and then evening meetings every day to summarize those reports. Is very, very valuable information, right? But it's also not very scalable. It's not until ChatGPT happened and we're like, oh, wait, we can actually do this with much less human and time. So it's not until then that we realize that maybe we can bring SoSoValue to a much bigger platform other than a smaller group of investors. That's where you can also see in our website at SoSoValue.com, shameless tag. You can see all of the news feeds is currently all cleaned, sorted, tagged by AI, and to curate it in a way that makes sense to investors. And there's like hundreds of hours behind the scene of training the model. And recently, you mentioned that we brought it to the market, the AI News Bot, in collaboration with Sahara AI, powered by technology, to even further out, filter through what's important to investors and also what kind of investors you are, right? Depending on your risk profile and the type of investment behavior, you probably need a totally different sets of information. So with AI, we can also make that tailor-made news feeds for every investors. For example, for you as a DGen, right? You probably need a lot more of a on-chain analysis and like more in the DeFi DGen world. But for everyday investors, for example, me, I'm a big spot index embracer. That's exactly why we launched our own index, on-chain index fund as well. For that, you probably need a lot more macroeconomics input, right? When is the Fed's rate cut happening, and what is the consensus over the Fed's rate cuts, and how's the tariff war going, and how's it pricing into BTC price, etc. So based on that, we believe the future would be everyone should have a different headline and different news stream. We already achieved that for Wall Street, and we were really seeing that happening for crypto as well.
Yeah, I love that. You bring up a lot of really, really great points that make sense. I especially love what you talked about with like the cycles and how crypto has really grown. And now we kind of need that infrastructure, that almost like Wall Street level infrastructure, right? And it makes sense because I remember, back in my day, when I started, it was easy to just go on crypto Twitter and I just see all the alpha I needed, or I can be in a few different Discord channels and, I got everything I needed. And I feel like at one point, that was easy to kind of do by yourself. And now it's just so much information and so much noise. And that's really where AI comes in to really just sort out all of that. So much so that you brought up another really good point, right? I'm writing notes right here because I love everything you're saying. Like we're in an age where we have so much information that literally humans can't even keep up. Like having those real human analysts that can go in and make these reports just isn't even scalable with how much data that we have. Like that is crazy. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like a few years from now. So being able to kind of get in the ground and really start to build this is amazing. And you guys, if you haven't checked out, SoSoValue and their news feeds, definitely do. It's pretty cool. That brings me into like the next topic that I really wanted to discuss with you, which is, these smarter feeds. And I'd love to know how, AI is powering these smarter feeds. For example, we have this new SoSoValue X Sahara AI bot, this news feed. I'd love to know behind the hood, like how does that actually work? How does it filter this mountain of market data and surface, the updates that are only relevant to you and your portfolio, your risk tolerance, what have you?
Yeah, so actually in the very beginning, when we come up with that news feed, a lot of the work is kind of dirty and not sexy at all. Before we talk about like personalization, I think in crypto newsfeed, even step one is a pretty big task in terms of finding out what is real news, what is like pure opinions, especially based on tweets, and what is a long form research piece, and what is just like noise, right? The paid content and the noise. Even sorting through that in 10 different languages that we offer on the site and different news outlets formats. We have Discord, Twitter, the Googles of the world, and then all the AI news feeds, and then all of the crypto plus financial news feeds. Like even sorting through that, tagging them accordingly, correctly, consistently, we have spent a lot of resources and time on that collectively as a team. And once it's all tagged, which you can also see on our AI bot and our website as well, we're also attributing to all of the news channels, right? Because for one particular news, you probably will be reported in many, many different ways. And then how do you recognize that it's the same news rather than pushing it 10 times? That is also another industrial challenges that we're facing. Again, not sexy at all, right? But some of the fundamental layers that we have to sort through. And once we have that in place, we're able to get through a little bit more nitty gritty, that more fun part of the challenge, whereas like we're sorting through customer behaviors. The first layer is language, like where do you come from? What kind of tokens or pages have you been interested in putting into your watch list? Or are you more of an ETF dashboard person, or are you more like a meme coin only investors, where we are able to gather a lot more customer insights through our websites. We have been running for a year and a half now, at least. So based on the insight, we're able to sort through, hey, these might be the information that you would need more on a daily basis. And then that's why we have the For You tag. And then on the AI bot as well, we help you configure on a very basic level what kind of information you need and what frequency, right? Do you need more of a price alert, or are you more of a macro news person, and in what language? So yeah, this is the 3-step change that we're bringing into the crypto news AI world. It's been through a lot of time and sweat into this. Hopefully, we're still evolving as AI is. Constantly, every single new model happen, we have to reconsider with if our model is the latest one and more up-to-date one, and how to scale it up at a reasonable cost is also another challenge. So yeah, behind the scene is a lot. Even though the front end, it might be a very simple Twitter bot or a TG bot, but behind the scene is a lot of work.
Awesome. I'm curious, with all of this customization, do you have any examples of like success stories where this level of personalization and this AI influence has really helped traders cut through that noise and make better decisions?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, the features that people thank us the most are usually the more simple and less of the fancier one. Like, for example, the DEX and on-chain data, we actually spend a lot of money into sorting out. But the feature that's mostly used and then people thank us for is still the simple stuff like sector rotation and how to track it across a period of time. On the entire crypto internet, we haven't really found this information, and that's exactly why we created it. First of all, like if you go to our front page, you would see a very top-down structured information architecture, right? Kind of how we would process the market in the traditional stock market. What is the overall market cap? How does that translate into different narrative and different sectors? And how is that sector particularly performing over a period of time and against BTC, where we believe will be the beta, and then against Ethereum, right? A very simple chart, but no one else is doing it. For example, if I ask you what is the market dominance of layer one or NFT or even AI, right? As for our topic today, you'll be able to find out on our front page very easily, and then to track its performance. And then when you click into the specific sector, you'll be able to see like a whole basket that we categorize within that narrative or sector. So this will help investors very easily track the rotation. Where is the market feeling right now? For example, as of today, AI has jumped 2.98%. The market dominance like 0.36 percentage, for example. And then within AI, you can see what tokens follow through it. So this is super simple, right? But again, dirty work, very logical framework that no one else cared for to do it a year and a bit back. So we did it and people loved it. And then actually a lot of media partners are quoting it for free every day with our logo on it. So there's a lot of free media mentioned there by like influencers and crypto media and even macro media in the traditional stock market. And another piece that that got us known in the space is the ETF, net inflow, right? Again, super simple indicator, but even to come up with the indicator of the net inflow as the singular one metric to look at is where we add value, right? Because there are so many different things to track. And then on a given day for ETF, BTC spot ETF, one topic, you will have 10 different charts. Right, but in the end, you will see this one chart that we created from day one is the one that's mostly widely circulating, because we come up with this one easy thing for investors to track. And why does it matter? Because it signifies how much money is coming from traditional stock market into crypto market, right? The more long-term, healthy, reasonable risk profile money coming from stock into crypto. That's why we think it matters the most, and then that's why we plot it in the way we do to help you track the daily net inflow. And then as soon as all of the numbers, the BlackRock, VanEck of the world publish a number, and we will aggregate it and plot it automatically using our own proprietary framework. So you can see at a really timely manner. For example, today the total net inflow would be 65.95 mil. And once the number hit today, we will update it immediately. And this has time and time again proven to be the forward indicator of where the BTC price would go, and the same for Ethereum, right? So again, simple is the best. And to achieve simple is not easy. That's what we find out.
Yeah, I feel like the simpler you try to make something, it's usually the harder it is to kind of do it. It's the same in content, the same in engineering, the same in pretty much everything, but it's always the simplest things that are the most, impactful and effective, as you well aware of. That's cool. I love that.
100%.
And I I love when you can get free media attention too. So that's always a good bless. I wrote a note here because I love what you said here was, behind the scenes, it's not sexy at all. And I completely agree with you, because behind the scenes, a lot of it is always so like messy and crazy. And I think one thing that I kind of want to point out between, a lot of the AI projects that we see today, when you think of AI, you think of these like sexy interfaces where you're like actively interacting with the AI, right? You're like asking ChatGPT, like, hey, let me paste my investment strategy. Is this a good investment strategy? And like you're actively interacting with it. And a lot of, what you guys are doing, and like a lot of what's going on in the bot that we have together, the AI is actively working in the background. You don't have to actively like prompt it or anything like that, right? It's just kind of quietly listening to, your social media feeds and looking at what you're doing and kind of adjusting based off of that. And I'm curious on your opinions. What do you think that this, what do you think this like invisible assistant version, this model, what do you think about that and the influence of AI? And do you think it's more valuable for people, especially traders, than, this manually having to interact with AI?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like all of this in how to interface with the AI, right? I think it fits different types of investor at different times, right? Like we actually do have both. One is the more actively providing you what you need type of proactive AI. And on our website as well, we have SoCatus AI, which is more of a natural language interacting with like your ChatGPTs of the world. And what's different is we're feeding the AI with more all of the real-time market data, all of the real-time news, or text sorted and cleaned up. We're feeding that stream and all of the live charts as well. We're feeding that to our AI agent model, so you can interact with it in real time and ask a very pointed questions, and it will structure answer in a way that makes sense to investors, kind of like a report, plus all of the charts plugged in, and every single market data piece is real time, right? So if you ask a ChatGPT a question regarding to price, it might be a lag, but our AI model is the latest. But we see people interact with these two things in a very different ways. So there are certain information that just makes sense to be pushed to you because of the whole highly relevant relevancy and timeliness request, right? Especially for price alerts. Like 2 seconds later or 2 minutes later, it might not be relevant anymore. So for those more timely relevant stuff, you generally would frame it in a passive push, so you don't really need to do anything. And for that to be highly relevant to individuals, a lot of the inferences need to be made, and a lot of the personalized data needs to be input for that model to be relevant. Otherwise, it's just noise, right? For example, if you don't really follow a certain type of altcoins and I push 100 different price alerts to you, it will be a spam. So for different type of investors, different information delivered to you at a timely manner. We kind of call it the mom model, right? Like mom knows best. It would just give you food or like give you a jacket whenever you need. And then if it's like over caring, it becomes nagging and annoying. So we kind of want to make it into a friend that knows your needs the most, for the active pushing ones. And for the passive natural language model ones, what it needs is to serve investor with a clear with a clear ask in their head, right? For example, for ChatGPT, if you have a really good question ask versus a really vague and general one, you will have a completely different set of answers. So in in the input-based model, what we're trying to do is to help investor ask the better question. So we have some passive prompts, for example, to help you come to the answer that you need. And then based on your question as well, we will guide you through, is this what you want to ask? And do you want to know more about this, to slowly guide investors, especially the one that's less familiar into crypto, to ask the right question to get to the right level of information. So yeah, in terms of input output, in terms of cadences and type of investors, I believe these two models have their own benefits and downfall. And we're quite careful in terms of, especially in the passive pushing side, what information to push at what time would be the most relevant challenge to work through. And that's where we are working together with Sahara AI to perfect that experience.
Yeah, so you guys are really offering the best of both worlds, and I love it. And I love what you guys do. It's why we partnered with you, because you're doing amazing work. I do want to make sure we are running a little low on time. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. We already have a few. So let me start going through those before we run out of time. I do have somebody asking, there's a ton of AI-powered news products on the market. What makes SoSoValue so special?
Oh, that's a really great question. I guess we're back to question one, right? Like, what's I think make us different or set us apart is where we're coming from in the very first place, and we haven't wavered from it since day one. Is like we're extremely investor centric. So whenever we turn out a new feature, a new model, or a new AI bot, everything. The first question we ask is, how would it help investors to stay on profitable market, to make the right decision at the right time, and to enjoy crypto gain in the long run, right? Like, how do we serve that purpose? And that's exactly how we come up with the 3 product pillar. We have the SoSoValue terminal, kind of like an information hub to help you understand crypto and to make to have insight that's actionable. And we have the SSI, which is the SoSoValue Index, which is on-chain spot. You can think of it as an on-chain spot ETF, where investors, no matter where you're coming from, can easily participate into crypto. Because we learned from the stock market, right? The Warren Buffett of the world told us, like, for average investors, the best way to earn in the long run is to buy and hold in indexes that passively. The passive strategy. So that's exactly why we invented that. And then we have been running it for a year and a half now. We have 200 mil TVL within the first few months of launch. So there's a natural product market fit there. And as of now, I think it has consistently been in the market, especially the Max 7 one. And then the third piece, we're launching SoDex, which is our own on-chain order booked DEX, allowing people to buy and basically buy assets that they like, premium assets that they like, in an easier manner. So that all 3 pillars are all serve one purpose, where we want to democratize assets. When it comes to information or investment assets, we want to offer it to investors. So that really also comes into all of the news feeds and AI bots that we created. We were all answering their questions because there are enough casinos out there. There's enough trading bots. There's enough like a way to help you generate yields, for example, or to do very specific things. But what we're seeing is lacking in the market is like a pretty holistic approach to, we want to solve that information gap in the first place. And that's exactly where we're coming from in terms of our AI offering here.
Awesome. And we do have a few more questions. I'll try to summarize some of them because we are running low on time. There's a few that are asking, how do you make sure the bot doesn't filter out something important that I should know?
That's $1 million question. Behind this one simple question, we have done a lot of iteration. I don't know how many people are with us since day one. We actually improved a lot since our first model. We're definitely improving, and our backend inferencing model, and we're also improving with it. Every single new AI model coming out, we're also trying out new things and how to solve exactly that problem, right? So there are two problems, two ways to interpret that problem. And one is like the over information, right? Like the over pushing information to you and sorting through what is relevant, is that one. And the second is like, how do you make sure that you have the overkill, right? I think the overkill one is slightly easier to solve because we actually have a lot of alarm and different layers of approval in place. So, for example, at first, we actually have a pool of information that's like properly tagged and sorted with our AI. And then once we realize that if the AI agent has negatively filtered our certain information, our human agent will step in um, to uh, to verify whether that information is relevant and whether it should be pushed live. And we have a very easy mechanism for us to fact check, and then in effect to push the news in a very timely manner, like within minutes, I would say. Because we're sourcing from multiple media sources, usually if the news is super important, we will cross check that whether different weighted news sources. We actually have our own weighting system to give credibility to different media sources. And if more grade 8 media sources have reported to it and different influencers have mentioned the same topic, we usually would push it through. But if it's below that threshold, and we will involve the human agent into fact checking and relevance gauging before we push it live. So that's how we balance out the information accuracy, relevance, and timeliness triangle.
Awesome. That's really cool. I'll ask one more question. Let's see. Could this same concept work for other fast moving industries beyond finance?
Ooh, I believe so, and I believe that's already happening, right? Like we kind of have an AI agent that's for each vertical that's like already developed by expert in that field, and we really want to stay in our lane because we all know that AI works best the more niche it is. And to be honest, in the crypto world today is already a really, really broad data source we have to source from is, the financial market data, the macro data, the crypto data, and within crypto, we have the crypto media, crypto KOLs, like Twitter, Discords, and everything. So even within this niche, we have a lot of expertise that needs to come into place to gauge what is relevant and what is good. We actually have our content committee. We have like more than 10 people. Some of them are actually our active users giving us feedback and helping us tag and improve the news sources to sort out like what is relevant. And there's a lot of upkeeping as well, right? Like there would be a crypto media or KOL that was really, really relevant and churning out great reports in one cycle, and the next day to drop that or start like taking money from projects and become like pure ads. So we actually have to like involve a lot of like constant updating and management of the news source and pipeline. So we believe that the more focused that we are, the better outcome it is, especially in AI, right? Like a garbage in, garbage out model.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to stay hyper focused, hyper relevant, and to going back to our mission, where we want to serve investors well. And that's how we structure our resources and time on a daily basis.
It's it's crazy. You mentioned how crazy crypto kind of already is with like information overload. Because I was just thinking about, was talking to some friends in like other sectors, other verticals, my non-crypto marketing friends, and it's crazy how much more just being in crypto, you have to be an expert in like everything, and not just crypto, but in finance and tech, and you have to be kind of partially a developer. You have to be, it's so much, but I love it. It's I wouldn't trade for the world. It's so cool. But cool. Yeah. Thank you so much again to you, Jessie from SoSoValue, for joining us, and to all of you who tuned in today. If you haven't tried it yet, please check out the SoSoValue News Bot on Telegram, powered by Sahara AI. It's free for the first month, and it's built to give you only the updates that matter most to you. No noise, no doom scrolling, just good old-fashioned updates. Jessie, do you have anything else that you want to highlight? Anything you want to shout out? Did we lose you? Hello?
I'm not sure if it's my internet or but I think I got the gist of it. And thank you so much for having me.
Is there anything you wanted to shout out before we leave?
Yes, definitely try out the bot that we created together with SoSoValue and Sahara AI, and then stay tuned and use our product and give us feedback. I would like to grow and learn with you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.